In this video lesson, we are going to look at the acid-base properties of salt solutions and how you can predict what the pH of an aqueous salt solution will be based on the salt that results from an acid-base reaction. To do this lesson, you're going to want a copy of this handout to follow along. If not, just write it out. So I just want to point out to you before we get started that we have our strong acids listed on the top of the page right here, and that our strong bases are hydroxides consisting of a group 1 metal, so sodium hydroxide and lithium hydroxide. So as we go through this, you're going to need to be able to recognize when you are dealing with an ion from a strong acid, so the chlorate, iodine, bromine, chlorine, nitrate, and sulfate, or if you're looking at a cation from the group 1 metals or hydroxide. So the first salt we're going to look at is if we have a salt coming from a strong acid and a strong base. So our salt that we're looking at is our sodium chloride, and it has come from hydrochloric acid and sodium hydroxide. So the sodium has come from the base, and the chlorine has come from the acid. We know that sodium chloride is soluble, which means it's going to dissociate into a sodium ion and a chlorine ion right here. And we know that both of these ions are not going to react with water. So because both of these ions are too weak to react with water, no reaction happens. And so because neither one of them ionize water, the resulting solution from the salt is neutral. So this is the case for all salts that are formed from the cation of a strong base and an anion from a strong acid. In our next example, we're going to look at a salt that is forming from a weak acid and a strong base. So the salt that we're getting is NaF. So the F is the fluorine is coming from the weak acid hydrofluoric acid, and the Na is coming from the strong base NaOH. And so it's these two together that are making our NaF. And so again, it ionizes into a sodium ion and a fluorine ion. We know from before that our sodium ion is not going to react with water. The fluorine ion, though, is going to act like a weak base. This is because the conjugate base of a weak acid is a weak base. So the fluorine ion is going to act like a base, is going to steal a proton from the water. So it's going to ionize the water, and we're going to get FH plus an OH negative. So because we have that hydroxide right here, it means that the resulting solution is going to be basic. If you're also wondering another way to determine if the ion is going to react with water, look at the figure number 5 on page 562. You also have this image on one of your handouts. So this also tells you whether or not something is going to ionize in water. So our next example, we're looking at a salt from a strong acid and a weak base. So our strong acid is giving us the chlorine, which means we have hydrochloric acid, and our weak base is giving us the NH4. So our weak base was NH4OH, and the two of those together react, and the resulting salt is the NH4Cl, and then that again breaks apart into ions. If we look at that figure on page 562, we can see that NH4 is a weak acid in water. So that means it's going to ionize the water a little bit. It's going to behave like an acid and donate a proton. So we're going to end up with NH3 and the hydronium ion. The same figure tells us that chlorine does not ionize water, so we get no reaction. Because we have that hydronium ion, what really means is we have protons. And that proton is going to result in the solution being acidic. In example number 4, this is when we have a salt that when it dissociates, it turns into ions that can both ionize water. When we have ions that can both ionize water, what we have to do is look at their Ka and Kb and then figure out which one is larger, because the larger K value is going to determine our pH. So we look at NH4 plus water. We know that it's going to turn into NH3 plus hydronium. And if we looked at the Ka value for this, we would see that it is 5.8 times 10 to the negative 10. The Cn ion plus water is going to act like a base. It's going to steal a proton, and we're going to get HCN plus the hydroxide. Okay. So now we have to figure out what the Kb for the Cn ion is. So the Kb is really for the Cn. To do that, we're going to have to look up the Ka of HCN and then calculate it using Kw. So if we take Kw and we divide it by Ka for the conjugate acid of the Cn, so Ka of HCN, we get the Kb for Cn is, our Cn negative is 1.6 times 10 to the negative 5. So now we have to compare this Ka to this Kb. And if we look, we can see that the Kb is actually quite a bit bigger than Ka. So Kb is greater than Ka, so therefore the solution is basic. So just a reminder there, we've used the Ka value of its conjugate acid to calculate the Kb of that base. So in our next example for number 5, we're looking at ions that are amphoteric. So these are ones that can behave like an acid and donate a proton, or behave like a base and steal the proton. So again, we have to compare the K values. So we're going to look at our ion behaving like an acid first, because it's a little more straightforward. So that means that we're looking with our bicarbonate ion and our water, and it is going to donate a proton, and we end up with CO3. So if it donates that proton, we get CO3 2 negative plus the hydronium ion. And if we look up our Ka value, we're squeezing it over here, 4.7 times 10 to the negative 11. Now when this ion behaves like a base, it's going to steal a proton. So we get H2CO3 plus a hydroxide. So to get the Kb value, again, we have to get the Ka of its conjugate acid here and divide it and do the math using Kw. So if we plug in the numbers using the Ka for its conjugate acid, we get the Kb for the bicarbonate ion, it's behaving like a base, is 2.3 times 10 to the negative 8. So then we're comparing this value to this value, and we can see again that the Kb is quite a bit bigger. So Kb is greater than Ka, so that means our solution is basic. So our next two examples are a little bit more straightforward. The first one, we're looking at metal cations. If you have a metal ion that is not in group 1 or group 2, with the exception of beryllium, it's going to hydrate with the water molecules, and then it results in the formation of a hydronium ion, and so therefore we result in a acidic solution being formed. If we have an oxide, so a metal oxide, which is really just a metal bonded to an oxygen, it's going to react with the water to produce a basic solution. And that looks like this. So our sodium oxide plus water results in sodium hydroxide. And then finally, if we have a non-metal oxide, so a non-metal plus an oxygen, they're going to react with the water to produce an acidic solution. And it's going to look something like this. So maybe we have SO3 plus H2O, and we end up with H2SO4. So that's the end of looking at the 7 types of acid-base salt solutions. There's a couple tricks to this. The first one is you can memorize your strong acids and strong bases, and therefore you know if you have a strong acid and a strong base, or what other combination you have, such as a weak acid and a strong base, and then you can just have memorized in your brain what kind of salt solution they form. The other option is that you can figure it out using that figure in your textbook that I told you about earlier. So once you've done this video lesson, your next step is going to be to do some practice, and you can do that by working on these questions here found in your textbook. That's it.